Hello my lovely jewelry makers, I'm Christina of CSLdesigns and today I'm going to show you how to make this Ombre stripes beaded kumihimo necklace. So mine looks like this here. I've chosen to just make it in blue tones and then with copper beads to really help emphasize those stripes there, and then the ombre between the two blue tones. Now originally I made a bracelet that looks like this. So you can see it's the same pattern on the braid, and then I just chose to make this necklace here to match, so you can now achieve a full set. So if you want to learn how to make the necklace here, then keep watching. So these are the materials that we're going to need. First of all, I have my round kumihimo disc because it is a round braid structure that we're making, and the cord that I'm using is this 0.5mm s-lon. I'm using a black colour to be a nice neutral background colour, but obviously you can match it with the beads that you're using. And as for the beads, I have these two different blue colours. They're both 8 Omiyuki seed beads. First of all, I have a silver line cobalt, and then I have a silver line sapphire, and that's just to obviously get that graduation effect between the colours, but you can really choose whatever kind of colours that you want to mix. And then the other beads that I'm using are these 3mm rounds here. Now these specific ones are some copper metal spacer beads. I thought they would go lovely with the blue tones in the seed beads. And then to finish off the ends of the braid, I'm using these kumihimo ends here where we can attach our findings to these little loops. So I'm using a lotto claw clasp and extender chain, and obviously I'm using the jump rings there to put it all together. Now if you want to see the full material list, I'm going to put that in the description box below, so check that out, and there's also going to be some links that might be helpful. But let's get all the materials ready then, and let's get started. And then what we're going to need is 4 lengths of our cord here of about 2 meters and 30 centimeters each. And then what we do is make sure all the ends are even, and then we fold them over in half, so basically put the ends together again. So just like this here, because we need to find the midpoint, which I then have here. And then I just tie a regular knot around that midpoint to hold the cords together, and I put a piece of scrap wire around that knot there to then help pull it down through the disc. So we then need to attach the cords to the disc here. So what I've done is I've taken that knot in the middle with the wire around it and put it down through the hole in the center of the disc, and then it's coming out towards the back. That's also where the braid is going to be growing, and then I distributed the rest of the lengths into the slots like this here. So I'm not worrying about the numbers at all. I'm just really using these dots for guideline. So I put 1 length of cord on either side of the top dot and also around the bottom dot there, so we have pairs opposite each other. And then I've also done the same around the dots on the side, so 1 length of cord on either side there, and again pairs opposite each other, so they're evenly spread on the disc like this. And then we need to start the braid. The first thing we need to do is make a short section of braid before we add in any beads, so we can use that to finish it off at the end. So I'm going to take my top left cord here, on the left side of that top dot, and then release it to then bring it down. Stay on the left side of that bottom pair. Then I'm going to take the bottom right one, and then bring that up, and then stay on the right side on that cord on the top there. So now these pairs opposite each other, they're still opposite each other, but they're just slightly moved on the disc. So then turn your disc for the next pair, so a quarter, and then do the same thing. The top left one here comes down, stays on the left side, and then the bottom right one comes up and stays on the right side. Turn your disc again, a quarter for the next pair, and then we keep doing the same movements here, and then you can see that the pairs kind of just slowly move around the disc as we keep turning it and moving one cord at a time. So you just want to do this until we have about 1 centimeter or so of braid. So now I've braided that short section of braid, you can see it's starting to come out of the back there, so it's going to be fine to finish it off with. Then we need to start adding our beads onto our lengths of cord. So now I added all my beads onto all the lengths of cord here, and as you can see there's quite a lot going on because what we actually have is a mix of all the beads on all the different lengths of the cord. So because it will be quite a lot to go through in this video here, what I've done is I've taken a picture of this setup, and then I put that picture along with the text description as well onto my website, so you can easily have a look at that to see exactly how you need to set up the beads. And what I'm going to do is put a link in the description box below the video which will take you directly to it. What I also just want to mention is that this bead setup here is made to fit the way that I work with my braid. So I start with my top left one, bring that down, and then the bottom right one and bring that up. So if you start with either of those two, because they're the same as each other, you can set up the beads in the exact same way as I've done here. But if you start with the top right one or the bottom left one, because again they're the same as each other, then what you need to do is set up the beads just a little bit differently than I've done here. And that is in a mirrored image to this. So imagine that you have a mirror in front of your disc, and then you need to set up beads in that mirror image there. So that would mean the top two would swap with each other. Obviously not the cords, but just the beads on the cords, and then the bottom two would swap with each other there. Then on the side, the top one on either side would swap over the middle with each other, and the bottom one on the other side would also swap over the middle with each other. Again, it's the bead setup, so not the cords themselves. So doing that, you would then achieve the opposite mirrored image setup of all the beads, and that would accommodate if you're working the opposite way to me. And what I also just want to mention as well is the length of the braid, because you might want a shorter or longer braid than what I have here. So if you want it shorter, for instance, what you could do is take a certain amount of beads off, and you would make sure to take the same amount of beads off on all of the lengths. And it's the same principle if you want it longer, so you just want to add the same amount of beads on each length as well. But obviously you just got to make sure to continue the pattern that's on that length of cord. So the final preparation that I'm going to do before we continue braiding is use these bobbins here, because it's a necklace that we're making, so obviously that means we're using long lengths of cord and also quite a few beads, and these really help keep better control of them. So you just open them up like that. Then I take, it's one length at a time, you use one of these bobbins per length, and then I want to first of all just get my beads down a little bit, down the cord, basically all the way to the end, just releasing them a bit here. Get to the end of the cord, and then first of all I like to just wrap my cord around the bobbin a couple of times, just with the cord there, and make sure to have a little end sticking out. And then I wrap the cord a couple of times, and then I get to the beads, and then I also want to get some of the beads in there, because again we don't need all the beads out at once. Just gradually wrap some cord, some more beads, some more cord, and some more beads until I get closer to the disc itself, just like that. And then I've left some beads out, just enough that I feel like I can work with them comfortably, and also a length of cord here, because then what we can do is as we need it we can release more cord just like this. And obviously be careful with that tail. Release the cord like that, and also when you run out of beads, all you do is open this back up and you just release and drop down some more beads to then be able to use for the next section. And I just like to do that on all of them here when I work with making a necklace. It really helps keep more control, otherwise they're really going to get tangled up. So I'm just going to do that on all of them. So now I've got the bobbins on all of my lengths here, so I'm now ready to start braiding again. So we just want to pick back up the braid where we left off. So I'm going to take my top left one here, that's the next one that I'm due to take, and as I'm releasing that cord from that slot, I want to then drop down the very first bead, let it drop all the way into the middle, and then as I'm bringing the cord over, we want to make sure that that bead goes underneath the cord that's going out to the side here. So if it doesn't do that by itself, because you can see it's kind of tucked in by itself though, which is fine. If it doesn't, just make sure to tuck it in with your fingers, and then bring the cord down into the bottom slot. Same with the bottom right one here then. Release the cord and let that first bead drop down right into the middle, and make sure it hooks underneath the cord going out to the side here, while you then bring that cord up to the top. Now turn your disc for the next pair, and otherwise do the exact same movements. So as I'm releasing my cord, I drop down one bead, make sure it goes underneath the cord going out to the side, and then I bring this one down, and then I take the bottom right one and repeat the same. Always making sure that the beads stay underneath the cords going out to the side there, because that's how they end up on the outside of the braid and creating this pattern that we want. Just take the next one here, so release the cord and let the bead drop down. If it ends up staying on top of the cord going out to the side, so basically on top of the end of the braid there, what will happen, it will end up inside of the braid, which is also nice, but just not for this design. Here we want the bead to be on the outside and be the main pattern. But otherwise just keep going like this until you used all of the beads and you have your full length of braid. So now that I'm done adding in all the beads here, you can see I have no more left. Then what we just got to do here is make a short little section again with just the cord, just like we have right there in the beginning. So we have something to finish it off with. So just make sure those final beads as well are staying underneath the cords going out to the slots on the disc. Otherwise you just continue the braid structure to the next cord that you're due to take, just without adding beads in, because obviously we've run out. And just make sure those beads stay underneath. And then again you just want to do this until we have about the same length as we do in the beginning. So now we have that little end with just the cord there. We need to take this off of a disc because we're done braiding. Now the way that I like to do that to make it as secure as possible and have no risk ideally really of the braid coming undone while we continue to work with it, I take cords that are diagonally opposite each other here. Now I'll go to the pair first of all that I'm due to take next. So that's these ones, not the pair that I just used. Then I take 2 cords here, opposite each other, and then I bring them across the middle and tie a knot with them, and tighten that right down on the end of the braid, on top of the other cords. Now I'm putting back out to the sides. Now take the other 2 cords from that same pair, and then tighten that as well on top of the previous knot. Now I move to the other pair and basically just do the same thing. So I'm just building some knots on top of each other here with the cords on the ends. Tighten that knot down as well. And now, because these are the final cords that I'm going to be using now, make your knot just like the other times. Tighten that down on top of the others. And because these are the final cords, I'd like to do a double knot, because a single one will probably just come undone quite easily. So a double knot here will keep it more securely in place while we then continue to work with it. And now I can remove my disc, and we then have our braid ready. So all we got to do now before we can start wearing it here is finish off the ends. So on this end here where I've used the wire, all you do is remove the wire there, and then you have the end of the braid ready to finish off. And on here I like to put glue around where all these cords are coming out from, and then I cut off the excess once it's dried, because then the ends are ready to be able to use these kumihimo ends there, the bell-shaped ones that fit just perfectly. Now I already have a tutorial where I show how to use these if you're not familiar with it, but you just use some glue, put them on the ends, let it dry obviously, and you can attach your findings into the little loops there. So then you'll have your finished necklace once you've done that, and obviously let the glue dry as well. So I then finished off the ends here, and I've also attached my clasp, and then it looks like this. So I've got my lotto claw clasp and extended chain on the other end, so it's ready to wear. Obviously you can use whatever kind of clasp that you personally prefer. So this is what mine looks like, just using these blue tones with the copper beads, but obviously you can use whatever kind of color combination that you want to, and they don't even have to be the same tone of color. You can use completely different colors as well, and it can make for very interesting looks. So if you do decide to make this, I would love to see what colors that you've chosen for yours. You can share that with me on social media. There's going to be links to them in the description box below, or send me pictures of it. I would love to see that. And also don't forget to check out the matching bracelet for this. I've already got a tutorial for that, so you can make a set now with them. But I really hope you enjoyed the tutorial for the necklace here. So thank you so much for watching it, and I'll see you in the next one.